Welcome back, folks. Listen, today I've been working on the box floor. You want to get this box together? That's going to be not the next thing we do, but it's one of the few things we got coming up. Any rate, Houston, we have a problem. That comes from an old show. Anyhow, what we've run into, I don't know if I've ever discussed when you weld something, it shrinks. And that shrinkage might be minimal. It might not even be noticeable. I don't generally have a lot of problems with it the way I weld. But when you full weld like this, you put a lot of heat into this top piece of metal. Now, when you heat something in a specific spot, when it cools, that spot will shrink. Again, not always noticeable, but on sheet metal, if I put a torch in one spot, not there, a torch in one spot, when I pull the torch away and it cools, that spot will shrink a little bit. It'll create a wave in that sheet metal. The heavier the metal, the less you'll notice it, depending on how much heat you put into it. This isn't a welding channel, but what I've done by full welding this is I've created a lot of heat on this top surface, causing it to shrink. And as this top surface shrinks down, it lifts the outside corners. Now, had I did 3 or 4 inches here, 3 or 4 inches there, and bounced around, I might have mitigated that a little bit, but I didn't really want to break my welds up. I had a good weld going, it was melding in good, bonding the two pieces of metal into one. I didn't want to lose strength, and I didn't think this was going to happen. So I don't know how well you can see it, but this bows downward. And because somebody has put too much weight in this truck and GM didn't build it as tough as I would have liked them to, like in the back or front, they left the middle a little bit weak. So when you overload it, you tend to bend the floor down. In this case, it's flipped over. So that's a rise. Well, being that we had that one bowed this way, and now this one bowed this way, it really makes the bed kind of do this. And I can't leave it. I just can't. Not to mention, if you can't see now, I'm going to move you around. This corner and this corner are now high because this center has shrank together. Shrink's a word, right? And has pulled those up. Now I'm out of whack here. I'll have a hard time getting my wheel wells in. Bolting the box sides on might be close to impossible, to be quite honest with you. So we have to figure out a way to get this floor leveled in better. And what I've come up with, I should have my hearing protection on. I'm tired of my ears ringing already. I don't want to make it worse. They're hanging right there. But I'm going to take this cut off with the wheels I have, and I told somebody the wrong wheels. I'm jumping around. Sorry, I always do that. I was just thinking I had a comment, and I'll get right on my phone and change it. Somebody asked me what cutoff discs I use, and I bought 2 different kinds. Naturally, a 50-50 guess as to telling which ones I like best. I told them the wrong ones. At least I think I did. Let me look. And I'll be right back, and we'll cut this, and I'll show you what we're going to do. While I'm talking about cutting discs, I might as well go there. I've used a lot of different cutting discs. Buy them online, buy them at the Harbor Freight or whatever junk store you have in your area or country. And we've talked about Jeff and I. No, excuse me, it wasn't Jeff. Jeff's the one doing my editing, by the way. Thanks again, Jeff. It was Eddie. Eddie was one of the viewers from the beginning, has been with me, and he asked the other day about cutoff discs. And through all my messing around and spending money on expensive ones and cheap ones and being unhappy, I've used so many of these, learned from my mistakes. The I gotta get my glasses on. I think it's SALI. I've found these to be the cheapest and still have decent quality. The reason I got a Warrior on here is a friend of mine came over and was doing some work, and he brought his own disc, which, by the way, thank you, Tom. Very polite to bring your own consumables when you come to somebody else's shop. So I appreciate that. But we even talked, I say we, Tom and I talked about these Warrior discs not being worth their money. So finishing up on the cutting discs, SALIs I bought on Amazon. Don't know where else you can get them, but these are half the cost of like a DeWalt or a name brand, and they hold up almost as good, not quite, but again, less than half price. So that's my suggestion. Use the ones you want, but there's Darren's suggestion. Back to the project at hand. I'm going to cut this in the weakest point anyway. There's a hole here. It's an unnecessary hole. It's a drain hole in case water gets in. Being that this is at such a high point anyway, it's never going to need to be used again. Plus, there's openings here. But we could drill little tiny weep holes if we care. I don't see it being an issue. The water's going to run out way before it gets up here. So I'm going to cut this here. We're going to call it a relief cut. And that should spread out a little bit, allowing those ends to go back where they belong on the floor relatively straight. While we're doing this and mitigating our weld issue, I might as well cut this support too in the middle of the bed because it is bowed this way. And by cutting that, we can relieve the pressure and push it down and re-weld that, getting both of these much flatter than they are right now. So let's do that. I don't know if you noticed watching. Again, that's a warrior disc, but it took a lot to cut that because it is so much, there's double thickness of metal. But if you notice right now, that gap is already wider than my disc. Just from cutting that, relieving that tension that was already in it, it has spread out. Basically, these two ends have went down and this gap has gotten wider just from taking that amount of pressure off of it. It's not quite where it needs to be. I don't know if I can push it down or not. Doesn't look like it. I might have to clamp a piece of square tubing on here and pull that apart a little more to get it squared. I'm not going to bother you guys with that, but I'll show parts of it. I might have to go crossways somehow to get these outside edges pushed down just a little more than we already have. And then I'll full weld this in. And when I get done, I might even put a plate over the top because we do have a little extra, about 3/4 of an inch extra space here. So we have room to bridge that just because I like to keep going and I like to make things stronger and better. I can't stop myself. By the way, these may not be full safety glasses, but they are safety lenses. So you should probably be wearing goggles. Get something in your eye, you'll regret it. So we're going to go to the same place. I didn't cut it right in the middle. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it. We'll cut this from the same spot. If I'm right, and I'm hoping, it sounds funny, but I'm hoping it pinches my blade while I cut it, meaning that it already wants to go back to its happy place. So let's see if I can pinch a blade. Well, it didn't, which is fine. I can get up here and stand on this, and I can already see from cutting that. Look how much. I mean, that took out a lot of strength just in this one crossbar. So it's going to be quite easy. I might just set some weights here and hold it where I want. But that little piece of metal is doing a lot of work in this. This is a danger zone if you own one of these. Don't put a lot of weight in here. As nice as these trucks were built and as heavy duty as the doors and everything is, the frames are heavy duty. They kind of dropped the ball on the box a little bit. So that's, I just can't believe how spongy that is now. That's going to work out great. I'm just going to take a quick look with you, and I got some other things to show you to see how close we've come just already. 2 cuts, and I've almost got it straightened out. You get a good peek in here. Much, much better. Looking at my cut in the middle, this is something else you might consider. What I'm seeing, and you can't, and I don't know if I can get the right angle. I now have this kind of This still has a bow right here because I full welded this and shrank it. And there's a little bow on this side. So right now I kind of have a bow and up and a bow and up. Would probably be fine. Nobody's probably going to notice it just looking into the truck. But being that I'm right here, I could do another relief cut on both sides and get this a little straighter. It's just a little more welding, and getting a full weld on that, I might have to bevel in on these sides a little bit. I want this strong. So I'll think about if I want to do two more relief cuts or not. This one's going to be just fine. It's one layer. It's going to be easy to weld. Just grind this finish off. That'll weld up perfectly. That's all I'm going to need to do there, but maybe more here. So the other thing I want to show you real quick, over here on the back side of the box. Again, you guys know, floor, bottom. I had that little dent here and a big dent there. I've already filled this in and sanded it out. Yeah, it's not perfect. I mean, it's blended really nice, but that dent, because it hit so hard, is I would have to body fill from about here to here to really get it out. It's got a little wave to it. And then you see the red here. That's just some spot putty because I had a couple of air bubbles in my filler. So you just put spot putty on and we'll sand it out. But those are almost right. The other issue, yeah, so you got tar in my hand. The other issue is it's got a little bend there and then back in there. It's not going to be perfect. We've talked about this. Tailgate and bumper are going to cover it. I just want it to look nice in case somebody sees in there. So I did do that part. Maybe have a little better angle at the floor, but we're getting quite a bit closer to flat. I really don't think I'm going to do those extra relief cuts. I don't want to weaken the floor. And looking under the bed, I mean, looking on top, I can kind of see that wave. But looking underneath at the rib part that you'll actually see in the truck, it looks really good. Really good. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do the extra relief cuts. It's my determination. You can do different if you want, but that one's going to be fine. This one, I just have to find the right amount of weight. I don't know. I've got things around here. A propane tank. No, that'd be a really bad idea. It'd be heavy enough, but I need to put the weights on there and then weld it. So I'll put something up here and change the weight on it. I got to quit touching stuff with that tar until I get it flat like I want. I might put just the slightest crown in it, but again, we'll see how that weight distribution thing goes, and I'll weld these up. So, all right, folks, I've been working here without you. Had a lot of company out in the shop, so I haven't done a lot of videos, but I can catch you right up on what we're doing. I've got the back done. I'll take you around and show you that in a minute. Basically filled in those heavy dents, smoothed it all out, got it prepped and ready. It's sealed, ready for painting. Finishing up the bottom side. I've got something in store for the future. I've been kind of hiding it from you guys for a surprise, but waiting on parts. Classic. Sometimes they come 2 days, sometimes it's 2, 3 weeks. I never know. But to finish up on what we did in the last part of the video, and I'm getting you caught up. Uh, Pretty cool how I did this. It took me a minute to think about, but we had this part in the back that was bowed down, and this part in the middle bowed up. So I cut a relief cut here in order to pull the center back down. Is that right? How'd that work? I'm sorry, for the center to come up here. Well, I wasn't able to do it with just a relief cut. So I put some straps on there. I'll show you those real quick. I put these, they're just ratchet straps. I hooked them to the hoist down there and up here on the bed. I did that on both sides in order to pull it back to level across that plane. And then in the middle here, I had to get my pointer because I got busy with the tar. We'll talk about that tar coat here in a second, undercoating. So I rewelded that solid. It's double layered, but I cut it here for a relief cut because it was bowed in this direction up. I cut that. I had to cut it, I think, twice and push this down and get this level from where it was bent. This is almost perfectly level. And this area here, I ended up welding it full. And then I thought, just to reinforce it, I'll put a reinforcement cap weld over that. So that's rock solid. This is all welded good. So pushing that down and pulling this up, I've got this bed floor pretty straight. And then I started this tar coat. Well, in the past, I'll move you one more time, but in the past, all I had was the fibered which is good for wheel wells, that kind of thing. It just it tolerates more abrasion from you spinning your tires. You're either spinning them on the road or just spinning because you're driving. But they throw stones and stuff up in the wheel wells, so it's nice to have a fibered tar for that. So I started with that. Then I got out my normal tar coat. This is just tar. Now I did this yesterday, and you can see it's not sticky. I'm leaving fingerprints in it, so it's not cured completely, but it doesn't stick to your clothes or anything. 24 hours, pretty good. That's a shinier coat. It goes on better. It smooths out nicer. It doesn't take so much wrist action. If you got the fibered stuff, you kind of got to work it and smear it around. It takes more time. So let me cover that part with you. If you're interested in using this stuff, perhaps this will give you a better feel for what I'm talking about. This is the fibered stuff up to this point, and then this is the non-fibered, which leaves a shinier finish up in this area versus there. This section in the back took me an entire hour. All the rest of this took me an hour. So you can see how much more time is involved in that type of fibered finish. Now, I wanted to show you one more part back here. I mean, you got a pretty good view, but all right, folks, it's cold in Michigan. I think the high today was 0, and the low tonight's like minus 15. So I warm this on the stove. It's not usually this thin, but it's nice to have it. Otherwise, it was just pasty. Oh, what I was going to tell you, and I'll zoom you in. Maybe Jeffrey can do it, but here we are. This lip is where the back of the truck bed mounts. This would be the cab area, and it wraps around the bottom and bolts through. And this two pieces of metal just being bolted together, it creates a rust area because the water in the bed will seep in here and it kind of gets stuck between those two layers. We've actually got a few rust holes on this edge, this lip, the very edge. I'm not concerned, there's plenty of metal there. But this is an important part. If you don't undercoat anything else, put something in here because the water is going to just sit there and eat away at this metal. It's done really well over these years, but this is the fibered stuff. Now, it's like I said, I warmed it up. So it's as smooth as it's going to get. But as you see, you kind of got to work the brush around because it's so thick. It does eat up a lot more of your time, but it's not terrible. I prefer the thin non-fibered. It just goes on smoother. It looks nicer. I don't know. I guess this is probably better, but the time it takes is it's astounding. It's surprising, I guess. I shouldn't use astounding. But I saved this for you guys. When I was doing it, I stopped. I said, I could do that when? Later. I got my gloves on. I'll tell you, that's a good thing. You don't want to do tar without gloves on, let me tell you. I just wanted to brush a little spot earlier. And I thought, well, I won't bother getting this, put my gloves on for this one little touch up. Yeah, I got it on my hand. It seems like you could do a little. No, not me. It doesn't take a ton of time. You people in a warmer climate, you probably wouldn't think nothing of it. I can't wait for summer to do everything. That's too much later. And yes, you can't get in all the nooks and crannies with this. But when I get all done and it sets up, I'll come back and I'll spray inside of these tubes here. Get as much undercoating as I can. So you get the idea. There's that. Now, I know I keep jumping around, but I wanted you to get a view of this tail pan, whatever you call this backing part. This is where the floor ends right here. And you'll have a tailgate. So there's no view to this. I just wanted to clean it up, make it look nice. This will get painted white just in case you can see it. I hand brushed in all the holes I can get to. I already told you guys in my up and coming video. I'm sure I'll have it by next week, but somewhere in here we have to cut this bed floor out for the mini tubs so Tom can put some nice wide tires on it. I think it's going to look cool. Now, why am I going with a fibered here and a non-fibered there? I don't know. It's warmed up and you guys are here and I'm getting it finished. It doesn't matter. The first time he drives on a dirt road, this is all going to be dust covered anyway. But I want to get this little section done here in the middle. Yes, I still forget. I started doing it up here, then you get your coat into it. So try to remember, reach as far as you can and work back towards your body. You'll get a lot less tar on your clothes. Probably make the wife a little happier. Get this tar in the laundry, and then she's got to use Goo Gone or something to get stuff, stains out of things. Worse than that, she might tell me I got to start doing my own laundry. Whew. Honey, don't do that, please. Thank you for doing my laundry. I do appreciate it. She does a lot. She don't work on trucks, and I don't blame her. This isn't everybody's fun, but it's mine, and I hope it's yours. And if you ask, why do I put so much into this? You know, overdoing all the time and making sure everything's just so. Well, I enjoy it. And my thought is someday, just someday, maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, I don't know. Somebody will come along to redo these trucks again and be like, hey, this is really nice. Somebody did a good job, saved me a lot of work. Probably won't be me. I don't think I'm going to be around that much longer. Well, who knows? I did learn something new today because, well, again, it was so cold. I had other things to take care of, make sure the cow was good and warm tonight. And I left this on the stove longer than I would have normally, my wood stove. And it's thin. It's warm. And this is going on way better. So I learned a new trick for myself as well. I might consider even warming this up in the summer. Set it out in the sun or something. All right, we'll get this finished up. I got a few other things to work on in the shop. I got plenty of things to work on in the shop. Who am I kidding? I want to get back on the green truck, the 72. But I'm working on 68s and 72s now instead of 67 and 70. You know what I'm saying. Right now, I don't have a 67. I hope to. That'd be great. So there's where we're going to end on tar coating. It looks like I got a thin spot right there. You touch it up. What's it matter? And we'll cut these wheel wells out, the mini tubs. We'll get them all coated and finished, tighten it up. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of it, but I'll bring you for the cutout, the mock up, and we'll see how that turns out because I'm not so sure. The company that I bought them from says that they fit right in. You just got to cut the metal out. I don't believe it. We'll see when that time comes. Okay, that's it for today, but it'll be 2 seconds before you see me again, and 2 seconds for you guys. I see another spot, a little tiny spot. It'll be 2 seconds for you, but it'll be tomorrow for me. I'm out here most every day. I just haven't had a lot of video this week. But we're gonna get you something good. We're gonna get some more going on. Get this truck bed flipped over. I don't know what we're gonna do on the other side. Very little body work, just on a few of the really deep dents I wasn't able to get out. That'll be quick. Do the wheel tubs on this. We'll be done with the box for a while. The next part of the box is going to be putting sides on. That'll be fun for me, putting things back together. And we can get started on the part we've all been waiting for, at least I have. I know Tom has, and a few others, about putting that fuel fill behind the taillight. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm not sure I'm excited about doing it. I don't know, we'll call it the fuel door. The taillight part, that mechanism's pretty darn decent. I have caught another video on it. We'll talk about this next time. I'm not the only one that cut it apart and narrowed it and put it back together. So they need to do that at the factory, save us all that extra work. They just made it a 16th of an inch too wide, and that's just too much sometimes. And there's no way to fill it. They just give you that flip part. So we got a lot of work to do on that. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting to see what I do right. And probably do something wrong, but it's only metal. We'll fix it. We'll get it right. So that's it for today. We'll catch you in 2 seconds. Maybe 2 days for me. I don't know. That's all for this week, folks. Thanks for coming. I hope you had a little bit of fun. We'll see you next week. All right, I got to go.